Hello, and thank you for having me here today at the Sony UNOPS Global Challenge Workshop. My name is Jonas Svensson, and I'm the Head of Global Innovation and Technologies at the United Nations Office for Project Services. Most of you probably have no idea what United Nations Office for Project Services is, but I will come to that later in my presentation. For now, I will just try to explain to you why it's so important that we get your ideas and involvement in trying to solve this global challenge. And the headline for this challenge is the use of technology to solve the problems with climate change. Now, so what is innovation and why are we in need of innovation? There are as many interpretations of the word innovation as there are people in the world. Just in the UN system today, we have more than 45 different definitions. Personally, I argue that there is only one real definition of the word innovation, and that is innovation equals new product or process that creates a value. Now, my professor colleague friend from MIT, Mr. Bill Olet, would argue that value has to be monetary. Now, I disagree. I would say that value depends on for whom you're innovating. If you're innovating for an enterprise, yes, then value is measured in monetary outcomes. If you're innovating for the UN, we might look at the problem that you're solving and how many people are impacted by your solution. So innovation can be big steps forward, or it can be very short steps. Incremental and copy and paste is basically the kind of innovations we see today, where there are no really big leaps forward. The key and technologies and buzzwords that we're reacting to, such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, virtual reality, are all concepts that came out of the 1990s. So what are the new technologies? And how do we go about to basically find the people who have these ideas and the innovation height needed to solve the challenges that we stand in front of? So innovation is important, and innovation height is also important. Without innovation height, we only have incremental and copy and paste, which means that we're only improving existing technologies, and the steps forward becomes really short. Now, this is good if we're talking about making short-term monetary gains, but it's not really enough to solve the challenges we have in front of us, such as climate change. We see an increased number of extreme weather events around the world: wildfires, typhoons, hurricanes, cyclones. We see temperature increase and ice melting, both in the North and the South Poles. And at the same time, we have need for financial growth and development in the developing countries. Innovation could actually solve all of these. So if we look at the topic climate change, is it something that we can stop? Well, COVID-19 have showed us one thing, and that is that actually it doesn't take a lot to actually make impact. As long as we stop our cars, as you can see here in this image from New Delhi, India, the top image is before COVID-19 and the bottom image is right now when they are locked down due to the virus. So if we park our cars and stay at home, the world will recover. Problem is, we cannot afford to do that. So we need to find solutions that basically can produce the same outcomes, but without the negative financial impact that we now are seeing in the aftermath of this virus. And if we don't, then this will be the outcome. We will have 150 million people displaced due to climate change shortly. So what are we doing? Well, one issue, and I mentioned it before, is that most of the innovation today is incremental or copy and paste. As you can see in this graph over triadic patent registrations, and triadic patents is basically when you register a patent and your idea is important enough to merit patent in Europe, Japan, and the US. It drops in 2005 and remarkably even more so in 2006, 7, and 8. And the reasons behind this are several, but one key reason is that we started to adapt the concept of scale fast, fail fast. meaning that unless your idea can scale and have a global impact quickly, you should fail. And hence, if you put that into operation, it means that you cannot take any big steps, because big steps takes time. However, the problems we're facing, such as climate change, requires big steps. So we need the crazy ideas. So let's gear up. We have 10 years left. According to the UN report that was published in 2018, gave us 12 years. 2 years have passed, so we have 10 years left until climate change becomes irreversible. Now, some scholars would say that it's already irreversible. However, we have to try to stay positive, because otherwise we might as well just go home and go to bed. It's over. So we need to find your ideas. We need to scale your ideas. And how do we go about that? Well, you need to find a problem, and that we have helped you with here. We have actually outlined the overhead problem, which is the climate change. So your idea should basically target climate change. Now a little bit about what we're doing. We are also believing that ideas happens everywhere. It doesn't really matter if you're a student at MIT or if you're a farmer in the deep forest of Congo. You can have ideas that can have impact over time. Of course, if you are sitting in a country or city with fully working infrastructure and access to the latest of technology and knowledge, your idea can have a bigger impact than if you are lacking all of those resources. Hence, who are now present in this workshop, a lot of responsibility falls on your shoulders to basically help us solve these problems. And us, as the UN and our partners such as Sony, we are here to basically help and facilitate that your ideas are being pushed forward at the quickest possible phase and pace, so that we can have an impact on the current problems. So we are then innovating for different stakeholders. However, climate change basically goes across and impact all of us. Hence, it's important to remember that our networks actually will function in a horizontal and vertical way. And if we cannot fix this problem together, the outcome is that we will have to basically do, as Elon Musk, we will need to start to produce spaceships and leave the planet behind. Now, this will be much more complicated and costly than to fix the planet we're actually already inhabiting. So let's focus on fixing the problems before it becomes too grave. So what can you get out of it? Well, the SDGs, where climate change is one of the items, actually is a $17 trillion business every year. And it will need to scale to $21 trillion in a couple of years. And that's the annual value of the business tied to the SDGs. If we look at climate change, just extreme weather alone costs the US every year above $30 billion. $30 billion in annual cost. That's basically the cost of the hurricanes hitting land in the south of the US and the wildfires on the west coast. And these numbers are the same everywhere in the world, and they are increasing. And the reason why I mentioned the US is basically because they have metrics that we can basically present. So SDG focus is important. We are the UN, so it's key. But not only that, if we look at climate change being one of the, let's say, cross SDG verticals, it is definitely crucial that we put some effort and energy in fixing this, because otherwise, you remember the picture of the lady standing in water? That's where we're all gonna be. And I, for one, I will be dry. I actually bought a boat to ensure that I will not be standing in that water, but not everybody can have a boat. So let's try to work on it, find ways, and move forward. Now, what is at stake here for you, aside from targeting a $17 trillion industry? Well, if you are selected among the finalists and you're offered a spot at our incubator, you will get access to all the UN networks. And not only that, you will get access to all the partner networks, investors, professors, technology providers, entities like Sony and UNOPS, who have offices and power to basically work across the board to push your idea forward. We will coach you, we will train you, we will make sure that whatever you need is presented to you so that at the end of the day, we can help you and set up a pilot and basically showcase and test your idea in a real setting. Now think about that. That means basically that from the get-go, from the day you're selected, you have the United Nations as a customer. And not only that, you have United Nations as a partner and a friend. Now that will make a difference. That will ensure that you create value, not only for the UN, but also for your company that we hope that you will start at the beginning of all of this. For us, well, basically, you will help us solve key problems that we are facing in the field, be that shortage of water due to drought, be that traceability of extreme weather events, be that floodings. All of these cost lives. All of these hold humanity back. But together we can fix them. So we will rely on you to do that, as well as you can rely on us, pushing you forward. Now, we have done similar things in the past, and we have had great outcomes. From the cohort of 2019, which was the first time actually Sony was visiting us at one of our events on island Antigua Barbuda with only 90,000 people, we had 17 teams participating. Out of that cohort, now 2 of these teams that were participating have traction and are expanding, scaling their businesses across the region. And 1 is basically moving their headquarters to San Francisco to continue their journey to solve the problem that we issued at that time. So I hope that I will see you in person in Kobe this year at the physical event 2020. And I hope that we together can work to make this world a better place for everybody. Thank you.